Hello and welcome to the formal review. Today, we will be looking at the 2019 film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the review.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the formal review. This is episode 41 and I thank you all for tuning in once again. Now before I get started, I do want to say that this episode may contain some spoilers, but I will do my best to keep everything vague so not to ruin the movie for you. However, as I always say, I do suggest you go see the film so you fully understand what I have to say about the film. But if you don't care about that, keep listening. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a comedy drama film written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. It is his 10th film and it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Emile Hirsch, Margaret Qualley, Timothy Olyphant, Austin Butler, Dakota Fanning, Bruce Dern, and Al Pacino. It is set in 1969 Los Angeles, where a fictional aging television actor, Rich Dalton, played by DiCaprio, and his stunt double and longtime friend, Cliff Booth, played by Pitt, adjust to growing older in Hollywood. Dalton is at this career crossroads as his last show was canceled, and now he's only a bad guy guest star on a random assortment of shows. His agent Marvin Schwartz, played by Pacino, wants him to start working in Italy in the spaghetti western drama, but that's not really what Dalton wants because that's giving up for him. Booth is almost worse off because he was involved in this violent scandal that makes everyone hate him and really not want to work with him. He is now Dalton's driver, mechanic, hype man, or pretty much whatever Dalton needs him to be. He is essentially the moral compass of the overall story and who the audience sees connecting numerous storylines over the course of this film. At the beginning of the film, he drops off Dalton as a TV show filming, drives to fix Dalton's TV antenna, and then drives around LA. This is where he meets a young hitchhiking girl and takes her home to the Spawn Ranch where, for those listening who don't know, the Manson family lived for many years. I only say this because the film does not tell you that these people living there are the Manson family, and this is one of my biggest problems with this film, but I'll get into that later. Robbie plays Sharon Tate, a woman who was murdered by the members of the Manson family, and you see her go about her day. She goes to the movies, hangs out with friends, goes to parties, etc. Tarantino's direction is very good once again, and he is able to capture the 1960s perfectly. One thing that's always admirable about Tarantino, his films always show his passion for making them. He really loves making films, and almost all of his films are really great because of this. As with a lot of his films, this film does play homage to gangster pictures, kung fu movies, and car chase films and spaghetti westerns, and this is where he really does a good job. He is able to really capture the essence of 1969 Los Angeles with the billboards, the cars, the costumes extremely well. And the acting is also very good in this film. Both Pitt and DiCaprio are fantastic in their roles, and my personal favorite was Pitt. I really enjoyed his character. There was something about him that felt really grounded, even though he kind of had this iffy backstory, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool to watch him go about the story. DiCaprio was able to play pretty much any role very well, so it's really not surprising that he does a good job here. His character is a great commentary on aging actors in Hollywood, but also for those actors who are really known for this one role because they did it so well. It can be really hard for an actor to break the mold that was built for them, because they do so well in this role that that's the only thing everyone knows them for. So that's all they can do. And it's even more so difficult for an actor to remain relevant as the times go on. And that's aside from aging. You have to keep getting these new roles, and then you add in all the other things I've talked about, and it just gets even more difficult for actors. And I would say the rest of the cast is fairly enjoyable enough for what they are given, which unfortunately is not much. Robbie is barely given anything to do, or really say for that matter. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of Robbie in general, but I do find her tolerable. I just don't find her as great as the majority of the population. But in this film, she is really given very little to do. Over the course of the 161-minute runtime, she maybe had 10% of the script, or 16 minutes at most. And honestly, as I say this, I'm pretty sure it was less than that. She was perhaps the most boring person in this movie. This film really is not about Sharon Tate at all. And it's really not about Booth or Dalton either. It's really about LA in 1969. Tarantino, like I said, does capture this very well, but he gives the audience little to no reason to care about any of his characters. Tate is barely a character, even though there are long stretches of time where she appears silently on screen. We somewhat learn about her backstory as somebody else at a random party at the Playboy Mansion tells us about her complicated relationship, or really from this random voiceover from Kurt Russell, who also plays a stunt coordinator in the film. Why is he narrating this film? No idea. Aside from Dalton and Booth, this film has very little explanation of who these other people are.
Voting isn't just going to the polls anymore on Election Day. Options like early voting, mail-in voting, and ballot drop boxes are available to more voters and are growing in popularity. How to Vote is a tool created by Democracy Works, and it breaks down the options your state offers by forecasting a ballot, empowering you to decide where and when to vote. Democracy works best when we all vote, but misinformation and confusion about election procedures have resulted in low voter turnout. How to Vote takes the guesswork out of the voting process. It is easy to use and helps folks from all over the country overcome many of the process barriers to voting. It is committed to helping you vote no matter what. You can use the How to Vote tool to sign up for election reminders, see what's on your ballot, get step-by-step assistance requesting your mail ballot, explore your options for returning your mail-in ballot, check your voter registration status, and find your local polling site and make sure that you have an appropriate ID to bring with you. Decide when and where you'll vote this year at howto.vote.
And gives little to no development to them. Who is this family that is living on this farm? If you know who the Manson family was, you know that that's exactly who they are. But if you don't, you're not going to know who they are. They don't tell you anything. It's just this random assortment of people living on this ranch that have no indication of who they are. Why are they there? Why are they kind of iffy? No backstory. No nothing. Tarantino is trying to tell this fictional story with fictional characters, aside from the Manson family related ones, and he kind of assumes that people going into this should know who these people are. And honestly, he's never really been about telling true stories about history, like in Django and Glorious Bastards. However, the difference between those two films and this film is that those were about injustices becoming justices. Django had a black man rising up in slavery time and killing slave owners. Inglourious Basterds had Jewish men coming back and killing the Nazis. This film has none of that at all. I really also wasn't a fan of how Tarantino treated Bruce Lee. He seemed to treat him more of a joke than one of the most influential people in history. And Tarantino treated his real characters, like Lee and Tate, as pretty much nothing. And in my opinion, keeps them in the film just to keep the film moving along. The acting is fine. I think Robbie and Ma are accountable for this. I actually think Ma was decent as Lee. I thought he captured his essence decently, and honestly, Robbie does look like Sharon Tate at times. The characters themselves were terribly written. And overall, this film feels extremely long, and to me, felt longer than watching The Fellowship and The Two Towers in a row. And yes, I mean the extended version. When I came out of the theater, I thought that I was watching a 5-hour movie. Is it a badly made one? No. Tarantino will probably never make really one of those. Even The Hateful Eight, a film that I cannot stand, is well made, but it would have made a better play, not a film. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood would not be good as a play, so from that standpoint, it is definitely a better made movie. It has a few great shots, solid performances, and honestly a very fun soundtrack, but unfortunately these pieces cannot save the film. The climactic singing is very Tarantino and honestly was the most enjoyable part of the movie. I really love the dog Brandy. I think Booth had trained her amazingly well. The scene has a lot of action and felt very true to previous Tarantino films. He gave more time to the film's environment than to its characters. And in all of his past films, he seemingly cares more about his characters than he cares about the environment. And unfortunately, this is what makes the film feel very boring. The ending may be controversial to some, but I honestly could not care less about it, because the non-development that happened over the course of the film made me not care about it. It is a film that I would not watch again, even though it has a lot of good puzzle pieces. I would rate this film a 3.0 out of 5 bow ties. Now, what did you think of the film, and how does it rank on Tarantino's filmography to you? Let me know. Hit me up on social media. The Formal Review is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The URL is all the same. It's at The Formal Review. Thank you all for tuning in once again. I really appreciate you all listening. I see the numbers, and I'm really thankful for you all. So you never miss an episode, please subscribe on your favorite streaming service. The Formal Review is on Spotify, iTunes, Google Music, and much more. It's pretty much on any service that has podcasts. In addition, I want to always grow and improve, so please leave a review on your favorite service. And also feel free to tell me what you want to hear and or a film that you want me to review. I do this for you all, and I want to keep these episodes entertaining. Each pair of ears that you give to this podcast allows me to continue. For those who have supported on a financial basis, I really appreciate that you support me in that way. For those who want to start supporting me financially, please go to anchor.com/the-formal-review and click support this podcast. And honestly, any donation is appreciated. As with every episode, I do have music in the background. I do not own the rights to this music, but I've put it in support for each film score. This is an important part of the film and really can bring the audience back into the film's environment. And being this a Tarantino film, the music is a very important part. But it's not really a score, it's usually a variety of songs. So this episode's music is from the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood original motion picture soundtrack released on July 26, 2019 by Columbia Records Group. Thank you all for tuning in once again, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Formal Review. We hope you'll join us again.